Madam Speaker, we had a consensus on immigration. It was never a controversial topic. We had the best immigration system in the world. It was the envy of the world. A system that brought in the brightest, the best, a system that had integrity, a system that worked for the newcomer and those Canadians that have been here for generations. But after 9 years of this Liberal-NDP government and 5 immigration ministers in that time, we have seen our immigration system fall apart. Our system is now full of chaos, it's full of fraud, and it's full of abuse. And what is the most concerning for me is watching the current immigration minister wake up every single morning and going to the media and saying that he's alarmed with what's going on. He's shocked with his own department's failings. And don't take my word for it, his own colleagues have said the system is a mess, that it's out of control. And we have seen record numbers in the low-wage stream of our TFW program. We have seen chaos in our international students program, where we have students coming to our country for degrees that we don't need in colleges that don't exist. And recently we've seen a massive surge in asylum claims after the changes this government has made. And Canada's population growth, we're at about 3.4%, Madam Speaker. That is not sustainable. And again, don't take my word for it. The Prime Minister himself has said that, and I quote this, that Canada's immigration rate has grown beyond what Canada is able to absorb. These are record numbers. And this puts a pressure on not only on our housing, on our services, on our health care, but also on the labor market for our youth. We saw a 14% youth unemployment rate just this past summer because of the low wage stream that folks were coming in and abusing that process. The greedy corporations were also abusing. And this is not a problem that started today. That government was warned by officials that their reckless policies will cause a housing crisis and it will put pressure on our healthcare system. They ignored it. In 2018, this government removed the police clearance certificate requirement for temporary residents coming to our country. And recently we found out from a media investigation, a story that came out that said that government officials were told to skip over crucial vetting for the temporary foreign workers program. Madam Speaker, this is weakening our system. It's jeopardizing our country. It is putting not only Canadians at risk, but it's also breaking a system that was once the envy of the world, a system that everyone wanted to copy, a system that had integrity. So my question to the minister is very, very simple. We've seen new ministers, we've seen new announcements, we've seen a lot of photo ops, but we have not seen any changes to our country's immigration system. Why is the minister so negligent, and why has he broken Canada's immigration system that is not only causing chaos for newcomers, but also hurting Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member from Oxford for his question. Canada recognizes that international students enriches Canada's society and culture. We have a process in place to welcome and support international students while also maintaining the safety of Canadians. Everyone applying to come to Canada must meet our eligibility and admissibility requirements. As part of our risk mitigation process, Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada, in a collaboration with Canada Border Services Agency, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the Canadian Security Intelligence Services, conducts comprehensive security screening to identify those who might pose a threat to Canadians. Let me assure you that all foreign nationals applying for study permits are assessed for criminalities. We do this by collecting their biometrics, that is their fingerprint and photographs. Biometrics are a very reliable method of determining admissibility than any other documents, any one document, such as a local police
A member may have his phone on his desk, and it's causing some problems for the interprets, I'm sure. I just want to remind members, he may want to put it on the chair instead. I can certainly give him the signal when his time is running out, unless he wants to put it on airplane mode. So the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My apologies. Biometrics are a very reliable method of determining admissibility than any one document, such as a police certificate. They unequivocally verifies an applicant's identity and therefore lead us to any information that is accessible about them. We check every applicant's biometrics against a wide range of databases, from the RCMP in Canada to U.S. immigration and international partners' holdings, to identify any potential security risk. Immigration officers then carefully review each application on a case-by-case basis. Decisions on admissibility are evidence-based, risk-informed, and follow rules around procedural fairness. Officers may request any additional documents they deem necessary to make a recommendation on a final decision, such as police or additional intelligence reports. However, I should note that depending on the country of origin, police certificates are not always reliable. Final decisions on admissibilities are made at the border by a CBSA officer. Madam Speaker, I'm disappointed that the Conservatives have been sharing misinformation and attempting to stoke division and drive fear into the hearts of Canadians. But I can't say that I am surprised. After all, it was a Conservative Party that promised to create a barbaric cultural practice hotline that would encourage Canadians to spy on one another. It was this Conservative Party that kept family apart through limited family reunification targets, all because they didn't want to let in too many seniors into the country. And it was this Conservative Party that accuses vulnerable asylum seekers and refugees of abusing Canada's generosity. Madam Speaker, the Conservatives are doing what they know best, misleading and dividing Canadians. I will not stand for it, nor will I dignify their tactics. As I outlined earlier, all international students are subject to a robust and comprehensive security screening prior to coming to Canada. This includes biometric screening, which then goes through our RCMP database in Canada, U.S. immigration, as well as our international partners holding. If necessary, an officer can request a police certificate, though I will note that depending on the country of origin, they are not necessary. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable for Oxford.
Madam Speaker, it is this government that has divided Canadians and misled Canadians for the last 9 years. The member opposite talks about the reliability of police clearance certificates. I don't understand this. So they may be useful, they may not be useful, but for permanent resident applications, they're a mandatory requirement. If they aren't reliable, why is it a requirement for that program? But also, if you can't trust a document from a certain country, how can you accept any other documents that are part of that package as well? How can you rely on those documents? And over the summer, we saw recently that we had a string of potential terrorist attacks that were stopped at the 11th hour. We had a potential terrorist that was going to stab folks in Toronto, and we had someone that was going to travel to New York who were here on potential student visas. So can the minister please let us know what other safety measures are they going to put in place so Canadians can have trust in their immigration system?
Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I reiterate that all foreign nationals that come to Canada are required to meet our eligibility and admissibility requirements. As well, all foreign nationals applying for student permits are assessed for criminalities, primarily through biometric collection. IRCC also collaborates with its partners to conduct thorough security screening, and officer can request additional documents, such as police certificate where needed. The Conservatives keep referring to a 2018 policy change. Madam Speaker, there has been no policy change regarding police certificate for temporary resident. Unfortunately, this Conservative Party continues to spread misinformation. On this side of the House, we will continue to build a stronger framework to support and protect international students and Canadians alike. Thank you, Madam Speaker.